present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
Immigrant Journeys, Immigrant Lives, and Immigrant Issues. A conversation with Karen Menendez-Collier is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. There is a remarkable new exhibition at the Overture Center called Immigrant Journeys from South of the Border. It is a collaboration between the Wisconsin Humanities Council and Centro Hispano. It's a series of photo portraits, and in the words of those in the pictures, the stories of their journeys to the United States. Among other things, it gives valuable context to the many issues around immigration with which this nation and this state are struggling currently. One of the creators of Immigrant Journeys is Centro Hispano Executive Director Karen Menendez-Collier, and she joins me this morning. Karen.
Hi, Neil.
Buenos dias.
Hi, buenos dias. Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm really glad we're doing this.
Yeah, me too.
So, talk about the inception of this exhibit.
Yeah, you know, I talk about it. We had a reception a couple of weeks back, but I spoke about it in terms of like serendipity. Dane, who is the executive director of the Wisconsin Humanities Council, approached me about their idea of trying to tell the story of the immigrant experience through the lens of work and labor and just day-to-day, you know, efforts that our community is doing. And at the same time, we were reflecting a lot at Centro about what we needed to do to make sure that our work was a lot easier. And one of the things that we have focused on a lot over the last, I'd say, year is trying to develop strategies to change public opinion around our community. So when Dina approached me and we had a meeting about this, I just felt like it was a perfect fit. Our missions were aligned. We're trying to get the same message across. And so it became really easy to work together and sort of use this as a platform for just having our community's voice be heard. Very simple.
You know, in Madison and Dane County, you would think that it would be so easy to learn about the immigrant experience. I mean, we have such a rich community in terms of the immigrant population here, and yet there's something about a formal art exhibit that maybe is a different entry point for people.
Yes, and I think that's really what was very attractive to me as well, because from conversations I've had with community members, I think there's a need to understand each other and develop relationships. But there are a lot of fears that go along with that. And so an exhibit like this provides a safe space for conversations to happen. You know, we don't really talk about immigration status. We don't label the community members that are coming forward to share their stories. They're just talking about their journey and their work that they do here. So it's a very safe, open conversation if you were to go there and read the stories of these participants, and it allows for just an ease about learning about one another. And I'm really a fan of that, of a very organic approach to just infusing our culture in all sorts of different systems that are part of day-to-day life here.
Give us an idea of who is portrayed in the exhibit.
They're all beautiful individuals. What's most special about me is that I think we've done a ton of work at Centro over the last 6 years to make sure that our community feels very invested in the space. We want to keep that at the forefront of what we do. Our agency would be nothing if it wasn't for the voices of the people that come and become a part of the vibrancy of the space. And so, by and large, all of these individuals are heavily connected with Centro. They are very comfortable speaking about their stories. They have a history with Centro. They welcome this opportunity. One young man in particular, I think, he's spoken out at different events and gatherings that we've had, Gilberto Osuna Leon. So he's a DACA recipient, UW-Madison, on his way to become a doctor. He is pre-med. And he's
Dreamers, for those who don't know DACA, right?
Yes, dreamers. And so he's very outspoken about what he wants to do in life and perhaps some of the challenges that he's facing along the way. Another person is Jennifer, who is a mom in the community, lives in Sun Prairie, very proud of who she is. She's been working with us and is really a leader in our community. That's the way I foresee her now. And she's very vocal about her journey and wanting to do more to become a part of the fabric of life here. So it's incredibly special. They're so close to my heart.
Did any of them, Karen, have to overcome some fear of being so public?
You know, I think that's something that all of us do. I think about it even, you know, day to day, because I don't know what others know about me. I don't know how they may perceive me just by looking at me. And so I think in a state like Wisconsin, you know, you hear comments and conversations that come up about immigrants that are maybe not as informed as they could be. And so I think instinctively there's a fear there. But one of the beautiful things that I thought came out of this exhibit is in the stories that each of the individuals shared, they talked about how they're just going about their business. They're here because they want to pursue their dreams. And they feel like if I just go about doing my business and do things right, everything will be okay. So there's a very strong sense of security. And none of them said, you know, I don't feel comfortable sharing the story. So it was incredibly, incredibly empowering to me.
Have you gone to the exhibit and just watched the reaction of people?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Oh, it's lovely. I think my favorite part about it is the reaction of the participants. You know, a young man came on Sunday when we had the reception with his wife, who's also on staff at Centro, and family members, and I just loved seeing that. And, you know, the setup that's at the Overture is also different than what it was at the Verona Library, where it was previously on exhibit. And just the way that it's exposed in these settings is quite beautiful. Yeah, and very, very meaningful. So.
Interesting. I didn't know it was at Verona first. I thought it started at Centro. And then where to from there?
After this, it's going to Sun Prairie.
Okay.
And Dina and I have been having conversations about creating a statewide approach for how do we bring the exhibit to the spaces where we are most in need of conversations like this to happen. So we don't want to go into the spaces where perhaps people are more familiar or comfortable, but just communities where there might be a need to engage in conversation.
And are there opportunities for conversation? Were there in Verona? Will there be in Sun Prairie?
Yes, there will be. And also, one of the other communities we're thinking about is Green Bay, so going up north. You know, just really thinking about statewide where we could be. And Mount Horeb, the exhibit actually came there as well, and then there was a showing of the movie Los Lecheros. A grad student that works very closely with Centro and was an advisor with the project, led a conversation with community members. She's got a strong connection to the farming community here in the state. It's just beautiful to see all these lines interact in the most organic way.
Interesting, because Mount Horeb is a community where Masood Akhtar and We Are Many United Against Hate has been very successful in engaging the Mount Horeb community in the conversation. There are so many issues that this exhibit brings to bear, and when we come back, we're going to talk about those issues with Karen Menendez-Collier right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
Whether you're baking something sweet or canning something savory, Fleet Farm has everything you need. This week, get great deals on things like Ball wide-mouth quart canning jars. 12 packs are $8.99. Almonds, 24 ounces, $8.99. And Citgo conventional or synthetic blend motor oil, 5 quarts, $4.99 after rebate. Plus, get 4 cents off each gallon of gas at your local Fleet Farm Gas Mart after any in-store purchase. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life. Where's Daddy? Where'd he go?
The 2019 Nissan Rogue with available Nissan Safety Shield 360. This is all-around protection. This is Nissan Intelligent Mobility. For a limited time, save up to $3,000 or get a low $209 per month lease on the 2019 Rogue.
The math is pretty simple during the back-to-school sale at Denver Mattress.
Right now, save up to 70% on clearance items store-wide.
Or scientifically stabilize your sleep on a Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 Furniture Row gift certificate. For you sporty types, try out the Athlete's Choice Silver, only $599.99. And for the budget-conscious, check out the Summit Queen, only $199.99. And 4 years, no interest financing. The back-to-school sale, on now at Denver Mattress.
Why does it seem like the other mobile companies don't want you to keep your phone? We don't mind. Keep your phone, save your money. Switch to Spectrum Mobile.
More sophisticated. We're back with Karen Menendez-Collier. We can't stop talking. We've talked through the entire break. Karen is the executive director of Centro Hispano. And we've been talking about an exhibit at Overture Center that is going to be moving around, and we hope to libraries around the area, called Immigrant Journeys, telling the stories of why people came to the United States. And, of course, they come here and face a whole other set of issues and challenges. Let's start with the most recent sort of, again, rise in concern over ICE and raids and things. It's been about, what, probably another month now that we've gone through this. What's the current status of it from your perspective, Karen, and going on here in Dane County?
You know, I think it's a huge fear tactic that the administration is putting out into this community. I think it's a way to create panic in different communities. You know, we've been, since the raids that happened in the fall came up, we've been very strategic and organized in how the community is ready to against anything, very much. Now, thankfully, nothing is happening in Dane County that we know right now. We're very much in close communication with police, with the sheriff's office, with city, with the county, with schools, with community representatives to try to make sure that everybody's on page and we know what's going on. What's been the most hurtful to me is how nothing is clear or transparent. I'll give you an example. There might be an audit that's going on at the university from a branch of Homeland Security, not ICE, but a branch.
Okay.
You might see trucks around that say Homeland Security on the side. That doesn't mean that there's raids happening or anything like that, but that there's other business that's going on. So Homeland Security, ICE, has always been in Dane County, always been in Dane County. What we're very mindful about right now is making sure that there's no elevated presence. And when that happens is when we really need to create action. My hope is that we'll keep being in close communication. You know, I think we developed a number of processes in place last year and at the beginning of this year with Fabiola Hamden, who's our immigration affairs specialist. Incredibly grateful for her role. We have wonderful support from deportation defense attorneys that are in the area, increasing their skills and the work that they do. So there's a collaborative of legal agencies that are saying we want to work together, we want to see how we can protect our community. And all I ever say is for people to just get accurate information, to always stay connected to Centro Hispano. And we will be very mindful of relaying that information if anything were to happen.
For those watching, Karen, who are familiar with the stories that they read and see on television from the border right now, where where all that conversation is taking place, how are the families here? How are your families responding to that? And what impact are they seeing in terms of their relatives?
It's incredibly hurtful. Well, there's two things. One, I think families here in Dane County are being affected because there may be a situation where a relative may be having, going through an issue at the border, maybe part of these community members that people are hearing about. So don't think that all these families are just at the border. There's a network of community up here in the Midwest that may know people that are caught in those situations. And we're very mindful of that. The other thing is that as immigrants in this community, even if you are U.S. born, our countries of origin are part of our history. They're part of who we are. So it's incredibly hurtful to see that happening in a place where we all came wanting to create a better life. And I think, you know, for myself, I've been here for close to 30 years. I'm invested in being an American and making sure that this country is the best that it can be. But I'm also knowledgeable of my heritage and where I come from. And I want to make sure that as a country, we're able to be the greatest friend to everybody that we can be. Because I know this country was a great friend to my family. And so it's disappointing when you see that happening. It's disappointing when you see faces of community that you're very familiar with, struggling and being told that they're not good enough. I think we are. I think we're a valuable contributor to the economy, to the well-being, to the arts, the culture, the education of Wisconsin and of America. And I don't know why there's such a fear about making sure that that continues to grow and thrive.
You know, it's amazing. I almost had wiped this out of my head, but the idea of go back where you came from.
Yes.
How often do members of your community hear that?
It's a constant thing, and it might not be as obvious as some of the rhetoric that we've been hearing in the news, but I think, you know, just by policies and different conversations that you hear, one, you know, the driver's license issue, there's just some subtle, almost like implicit decisions that are made that say you're not the same as all of us, and we don't feel that we can provide that space for you to become the same as all of us.
Karen, talk about the driver's license issue.
Yeah, you know, I think coming from a state where I'm originally, well, after my immigrant journey from California, where driver's licenses are available to everybody, I think Wisconsin is missing a huge opportunity. The governor put it as part of his budget to include driver's license for all, regardless of immigration status. And it's simple, you know. Kids Forward put out a report. Over 30,000 individuals in Wisconsin would stand to benefit from a driver's license. Majority of them are working adults contributing to the benefit of the state. It's a very practical issue. These are individuals that are having their lives here. They're driving for the safety of everybody that's on the road. It's very clear cut to me. Law enforcement has come out in support of driver's license statewide. Here in Dane County, we did some work with the Dane County Police Chiefs Association, and they supported recommendations that Centro, Hispano, and a number of other entities worked in collaboration with United Way, advocating for a driver's license. And so I think everybody wants it. When all these practical, common sense explanations are said that they're not enough, that's when it makes me feel like, well, then what is enough? And why are you not wanting for us to be equal to what you are here in this state? And that's extremely frustrating.
When we come back, I'd like to get an update on in-state tuition. And then we're going to talk about all the great things going on at Centro Hispano.
Thanks, Neil.
With Karen Menendez-Collier right after this.
Update your floors with Empire Today's $50 room sale. Buy one room, get floors for all other rooms for just $50 each. So when you buy one room, it's only $50 for laminate in the kitchen, $50 for carpet in the bedroom, and $50 for hardwood in the office. There's no limit. Buy one room, and it's $50 for floors in each additional room. Schedule now. 800-588-2300 Today.
Have you heard? Tempur-Pedic sleep is better sleep.
With innovative memory foam developed by NASA, Tempur-Pedic mattresses reduce motion transfer,
Which means less tossing and turning so you can sleep undisturbed through the night. But which Tempur-Pedic is right for you? Come to Denver Mattress and test for yourself. Let our expert sales staff guide you to your perfect Tempur-Pedic. And rest easy knowing it's backed by our 365-night better sleep guarantee. Shop Denver Mattress today, your Tempur-Pedic elite retailer.
The Summer of Jeep going on now at Don Miller. The new Jeep Grand Cherokee Upland 4x4. It's a power performer. Black painted aluminum wheels, advanced multi-stage front airbags. With discounts and rebates, just $37,249. The new Cherokee Latitude with deep tint sunscreen glass, 17-inch aluminum wheels, only $23,198 after all discounts and rebates. The Summer of Jeep on now at Don Miller, Madison and Dane County's Jeep headquarters. Hodana Road, Madison.
Don Miller.
State spokesperson. Attention. This is a legal alert for anyone who has used Roundup Weed Killer and been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you used Roundup Weed Killer and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to significant compensation. A multi-million-dollar verdict was recently awarded to a man whose non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was linked to Roundup Weed Killer. If you used Roundup Weed Killer and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call now.
Holding a phone takes precious attention away from the road. That's why handheld cell phone use is now illegal in Wisconsin work zones, and fines start at $40. Driving deserves your undivided attention. It's about safety for workers and for all motorists. So when you see orange cones, please put down the phone. The Wisconsin DOT urges you to eliminate distractions and be especially alert in work zones.
First of all, get over to Overture Center before, what, the middle of August?
Middle of August, yes.
For the Immigrant Journeys from South of the Border exhibit. It's an extraordinary exhibit. Karen Menendez-Collier, the executive director of Centro, Hispano, co-founded that exhibit with the Wisconsin Humanities Council. And it tells the stories of immigrants who come to this country. And we've been talking about some of the issues they face. And one of them is in-state tuition, which is particularly for Dreamers. I think it's such an interesting debate. Talk about where that debate is right now and your perspective on it, Karen.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the driver's license issue that we were talking about. The governor included in-state tuition as part of his budget. One thing to note is that both of those items were not passed, so like many other things that we were all hoping for. But I think the governor and his administration, they're very committed in making sure that they come up in the form of a bill and still supportive of the initiatives. In-state tuition, like driver's license, they add incredible value to the state. I mean, between like 15 and 20 states nationwide provide some kind of financial assistance to Dreamers, students that are on deferred action. Some states go as far as providing financial support to undocumented youth. And I think it's incredibly important. A little bit under 10,000 kids in the state are wanting to go to school here and paid the same equitable tuition rates as other students. They're working 4 to 5 jobs trying to make ends meet. Homes are being mortgaged, cars are being sold, all because there's this dream of wanting to go to the University of Wisconsin and getting equitable tuition. And so it's incredibly heartbreaking when we see that happening and when we know that there's a need for this kind of workforce. There's a need for individuals that are going to be trained here. They're going to become doctors, attorneys, whatever they may be, and really contribute to the vibrancy of the state. Other states are doing it. We're going to very much miss out if we start not doing this.
Karen, isn't opponents of immigration reform who are pushing back against the current system, even many of them argue for a regulated, formal approach to immigration. Isn't this part of it?
Yes.
Requiring immigrants to apply for driver's licenses, allowing immigrants to go to college and become working members of society. It seems like that's part of what we would all agree is a formalized immigration policy.
You know, that's a very interesting point, because those are basically the requirements that you want out of a future citizen, that they're going to be a contributing, hardworking individual, whatever that may look like. But at the same time, you're saying, but we're going to put every other barrier possible to make sure that doesn't happen. And so to your point that we're talking about go back home, you're not the same as we are, those very implicit messages are being carried through. And I think, as a community, we all need to stand up and say that's not going to happen. We need to do things differently, and we need to make sure that things change. And with these policies, that will eventually change. We can't be so reactionary to the rhetoric. When one person says something that's really, really hateful, we can't really react to that when all these different policies are going on, when change can actually happen. So.
A couple of months ago, I was at the annual Centro Hispano Strategic Breakfast, always one of the most enjoyable events of the year, because it is so positive, so optimistic, and the amount of support there, Karen, again, for the growth in programming at Centro, I thought was pretty significant.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I think I'm very proud of that space. To me, I've said it in other spaces, but it's a sanctuary to me. It's a place that I call home. Being an immigrant from El Salvador, that's the place where I feel like I belong the most in the state. And my staff is incredible. We're tasked with so much to do on a day-to-day basis, but we're committed to doing it with the city, with the county, with the state, with the school district, with the universities, to make sure that our families are thriving. This is the fastest growing community in the city, the county, and the state. You go to any high school, that is the face of the future. Whether you like it or not, these are the families that are your neighbors, that are a part of that exhibit that's being on display at the Overture. it behooves all of us to get to know each other, to understand each other, to fight for each other, and to make sure that our state is going to be thriving in the future. Not because it's the right thing to do, but practically is the thing we should be doing. So.
And your capacity continues to grow. You
Yes.
added some pretty significant capacity just this year.
Yes, we did. You know, I think we're at a stage at Centro. When I first came to the organization, we were very much looking at our programs, alignment with goals that were happening in the city, in the county, in the schools. What kind of other programming did we need to do? We really settled on a holistic approach to the well-being of our young people, seeing them as full human beings that require the supports of family, of neighborhood, and community. So that's sort of the foundation of our programming. Now we're at a stage that we recognize that our country is in crisis in many ways. So not only do we want to provide a thriving community, but we want to ensure that we're safe against those crises. I talk to my staff and I tell them, I want to have a space here at Centro that's peaceful, that's calm, that can handle all this trauma, not only for you, but for the family members that we serve. And so our strategic plan now moving forward is really looking at capacity, seeing how much more do we want to grow in terms of our programming, in terms of our efficiencies of our building, processes, that sort of thing. Incredibly grateful for the growth that we've had to date. So,
well, we're out of time. We should probably just acknowledge that over 5 years, your relationship with the school district has really been important, and Jen Cheatham's been a great ally.
Yeah, she's been a wonderful friend, and I'm going to miss her dearly.
Karen, thanks very much. Congratulations on the exhibit.
Thank you, Neil.
We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.